What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode and another week of the What the Puck podcast. I'm Nick. That's Gunk. Gunk. Good morning. We
Good
are
morning.
we are into the Stanley Cup final. Game one was Saturday night, and if the Rangers had half the power play that Edmonton did, or even just the looks, Florida would not even be in the fucking cup final right now.
No,
Edmonton destroyed Florida on every aspect of their
unfortunately,
game except for pucks in the net.
except for pucks in the net. Playoff Bob is fucking tremendous.
Yeah, is he
Holy
worth his contract now, assholes? all
yeah.
you all you dorks that were like, actually 10.5 for a goaltender is way too much. Fuck you. No, it's not. I'd rather to have $10.5 million Bob right now in the playoffs is fucking
Oh,
fantastic. He is
and
so worth his contract.
people had washed him off too. They were ready. They're ready. They're like, oh, he's getting old. He's getting terrible. This guy's never played as well as he has. I swear.
Exactly.
It's been tremendous, and it's wonderful for him, and especially for the Panthers because they're riding him right now. And especially, you said, after that first game, like you said, Edmonton took it to him. I mean, they got over 30 shots on goal on and
You outshoot
nothing.
them 33-18, but get shut out. That's an awful
Gosh.
game.
And for Pony Bars, which the game that they were just coming off of clinching, that where they scored, on 10 shots, they scored
Mhm.
the 3 goals and won the series. So it's kind of a flip flop in that kind of thing for the Oilers over there.
And like, what's funny to me is that without Bobrovsky, this game probably would have been 2-3 nothing at the end of the first for Edmonton, or 3-1. Because I
Yeah,
mean,
I
Verhage
was.
just had a nice goal.
Yeah, no, it was a very nice goal. I was very surprised the way Florida came out, especially at home in Game One, and being a little experienced. I mean, like I said, Edmonton was taking it to them. They just couldn't. They couldn't get it past Broflovsky, and like I said, you got. Unfortunately, in this game, it doesn't matter what you do. The matters is what's on the scoreboard. So, you know, you could have had 85 shots. You don't get nothing past them. You still lose, unfortunately. But
Exactly. And like heading into tonight, do you think the Oilers need to change up their game plan any? I mean, they played a very solid game. I think it's just they got to find better opportunities. It seemed like a lot of their passes were getting broken up during the power play. They were cycling, but they were cycling around the outside.
yeah.
And the only chances that I ever really saw in close during a power play were by McDavid.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
see,
you,
McDavid was on his game in game one. I mean, he was one of the pluses for them. I mean, he got he's 6 total shots on goal. He played almost 25 minutes. I mean, what else can you ask from your star except put the puck in the net? Unfortunately, but I mean, he had his chances. I mean, it's not like he was shut out or not seeing his game. He had his chances in this game. Florida came up big again. Broflovsky came up big because the team really didn't come up big in front of them. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I was very surprised the way they came out. I'm surprised they won this game, and now you're going to get a Florida team going into game two that has confidence that they're up 1-0. They got the least to split at home. They're going to try to take the 2-0 lead. You know, set serve, go back to Edmonton. Up to it, and they're going to come out as a different team tonight. Just with the confidence, and that's scary. That's where Edmonton's going to have to change it up. They're gonna have to match their intensity. Which again, for a lot of the series, I've been bringing up to a lot of people I talked to about the series. The series is basically Edmonton speed versus the tough and ruggedness of the Florida Panthers.
yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day about just how tough it is to play against Florida, because they were telling me, they were like, I've never seen really Florida's game like that. I didn't know that's what they were about. And I was like, oh yeah, like, because you have to try to get through their three forwards first that are going to brutalize you,
Hmm.
try to get through their defense, and then if you're able to do all of that, now you have to try to get it past fucking Bobrovsky, the two-time Vezina winner and a finalist last year. Good
Yeah,
luck. Stars can't even fucking do that. That's why they got eliminated last season.
exactly. Yeah. Like I said,
Yeah, it's just
Yeah, it's gonna be. I said going into game two tonight. It's gonna be like I said. Florida's gonna come out way better than they did in game one. Edmonton's gonna have to match their intensity, or at least find a couple goals early. That's kind of like how Shishkin was really dominating the first two rounds. Florida found that way past them, and they started winning these one goal games.
Yeah, it that
That's what Edmonton. They're not going to get a blowout against this team.
no.
They're gonna have to find a way to grind out 2-3 goals in this game and hold them, which again goes back to the other question of the other goalie, Stuart Skinner. Is he? I mean, he got you to the finals, but is he enough to get him over the hump? And
I
so
think
far,
so because I feel like a lot of the goals that were let up by Skinner the other day weren't essentially his fault.
right.
The Verhaeghe's goal was just a really nice tap, and he was able to find a nice open spot.
Yep.
And that's on the that I feel like that's more on the defense for not being able to read the pass.
Yep.
But I mean, it does raise the question of is Skinner going to be the one to get you over the hump? But even
Yep.
then, I feel like Skinner can. He needs to be able to know that the guys in front of him are going to be able to bail him out too, because you see what teams do when they have to rely on their goalie. They drop off entirely on offense and they struggle on defense because they're just hoping that, hey, he's back there.
Right. Exactly.
So
Yeah.
I feel like to make sure that Skinner can get them there, they need to show the confidence in front of him
Right.
to be able to like build his confidence up, because 3 goals after seeing what your team was trying to put up in front of you, that could suck. So for the team in front of him to come out tonight, just just try to have a good game.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
even if it's a 2-1 1-0 game, you got to be on the winning side of it. Going back home
Right.
down
That's,
0-2 in the cup final,
yes.
you're gonna struggle even more, especially if you go out into game 3 and have a rough game in front of
Oh
your
yeah.
home crowd. They'll boo the fuck out of you.
Oh, absolutely. No, I totally agree, and that's why I said this is an important game for the Oilers right now. They got to find a way to get this series tied, or like I said, it's we're gonna go into game three, and they're gonna need a must win at home. I mean, they'll be in front of their crowd, but like you said, if Florida gets ahead in that game, that crowd's gonna turn on them, and it's not gonna be pretty for it might be a really fast series if this turns out, which I was not expecting. I was expecting a long series just between just again with between the speed of the Edmonton Oilers and the toughness of the Florida Panthers. I just think it would be like a great grind out, spectacular goals this kind of series. And unfortunately, after game one, we really didn't get that. I mean, we got the toughness from Florida, but again, even they weren't good defensively at all. And
They really weren't. And like to have to line shuffle in the second period of the cup final seems a little odd. You shouldn't have to try to find a way to get a spark going at this point. You should
right,
be all your cylinders should be firing.
right,
So to try to have to line shuffle, I was baffled by line shuffling in the conference final. You're telling me these guys aren't all on the same page at this point.
right.
You've played it's almost 100 games into their seasons, and you're telling me that you have to shuffle lines now to try to get a spark. And even
Mhm.
then, the line shuffles that you're doing are Zach Hyman, Leon Draisaitl, and Connor McDavid. They know that's fucking coming.
Right, exactly.
And I'm not sure if that's just inexperience on behalf of Knobloch, but these are you have a team of stars in the NHL, current and former. You gotta not line shuffle. You gotta make sure that they have a spark already together. This is, I mean, I understand it's game 1 of the cup final, but this is the cup final.
No, absolutely, and I totally agree with that. Like I said, I've dealt with it on a lower level with the Devils for many years. For the last couple of years with the line shifting, and trying to they're down a couple goals. That they're throwing out Hughes, Heischer, and Brat, on a line. It's coming. So, it's not like it was this big surprise that it was going to come out there for them.
Yeah, it's just it just seems baffling to me that with line shuffling now you have to. It's always the top guys need to find a spark.
Right.
Uh, I mean, at that point, that just means that you're not capable of rolling out four lines if you have to shuffle them all the time. Because if
Right.
your top guys aren't producing, you gotta try to rely on your bottom guys to try to do something. If they're not doing anything, you have to switch up everything on the fly. You destroy your game.
Right. Exactly.
I just
That's why I always had the concept of when you have a top line like this, you should just keep them together. They always stay together, and they always, if they're clicking, just leave them alone. I mean, if you want to shuffle the bottom six, throw, your third line center out with your fourth guy, your fourth line guys. I mean, it is what it is. Maybe you get a spark that way, but you got to again. I came to the concept when something's working, just leave it alone. And if it's been working, like you said, for over 100 games, leave it alone. Just leave it the way it is. And from a fan's perspective, that's how I feel, and that's always how I felt. Even listening, just people writing on Facebook or anywhere. The line shifting is sometimes ridiculous in some of these teams.
yeah, I really can't believe it. But what else? What else is ridiculous regarding the Oilers? Their bottom pairing is Darnell Nurse and Cody Cece. Darnell Nurse should get fired by a cannon into the fucking sun for how bad he is.
Bad.
19 games so far played in these playoffs, 3 assists for 3 points, and a minus 15.
Uh,
The a minus. We could go through the last 5 games for him. Game one against Florida, 0 goals, 0 assists for 0 points, -2.
-2.
Versus Dallas in the last game of the conference finals, all zeros. Uh, game 5 against Dallas, zeros and a -1. Against Dallas, an assist and struck even. And then against Dallas, all zeros and a -2 again. He's never on the ice for a goal.
No, see, that's
The only goals he's on for are the other team.
Right, exactly. And those two, and apparently, I'm taking a look right now, real quick. I mean, apparently they haven't been playing together since the second round, but they reunited for game one, and it didn't work out well because they gave up the two Panthers goals on the ice. So
Yeah, I just don't understand. I don't understand why you think when you're looking at your defensive pairings that Darnell Nurse is bad, Cody Cece is bad. Why would you put the suck together?
I don't get it. That
Like,
I don't get it.
do I have the stupid? Am I crazy?
No,
Like,
you're totally not.
like I don't understand why you would put Darnell Nurse with Cody Cece together. You've done it before and it doesn't work. The other guys, the guy before you did that and he didn't work, and that's why you got fired.
I got fired, exactly.
So
Exactly.
I don't fucking understand that. Like Cody Cece's serviceable enough. He's not the issue. It's Darnell Nurse.
Darnell
And
Nurse.
you watch him when he plays, he's just not there. Like, I don't know where his mind is, but it's not on the ice or in his head.
Well, apparently, maybe if your sister gets on a cover of a EA game, and you don't. I mean, that's.
He doesn't deserve it. I mean,
I just like always seeing her goddamn face pop up on my NHL 23. That's the only reason I was just like, I didn't even know who she was. I was like, who the hell is this?
it's Sarah
And I
Nurse,
realized,
baby.
Oh, okay, I know right now. I know
Yeah.
who this is.
Better.
Her and Trevor Zegers always hanging out together.
Yeah, Darnell Nurse sucks. It's so sad.
He just sucks.
Oh,
I was
God.
I know he sucks.
Yeah, but
Anyway, let's go from sucking to your little. We need a. We've missed out now that the finals have started. We haven't got a drop of our beloved New York. Well, his beloved New York Rangers. Final thoughts on the
Yeah,
season and
I took
what
a
the future.
break.
I understand. I can totally understand that.
Uh,
Again,
so
again heartbreaking. It's got to be even though you knew it was like, oh, I
not
really,
not heartbreaking.
okay.
Uh, at the time, because I watched all of Game 6, it was it was frustrating because they came out and they played a good game. They played a solid road game. I thought they had a chance going through even into the first period. They looked good, they looked fast, they looked like they were on their game. They looked like they wanted game 7 to be an option. And then I don't even remember how I don't remember how the scoring went.
Let me see.
It
I can.
Cuz it feels like I know it's been like a week, but it's felt like an entire year.
That's so funny. I was about to ask you that actually. That exact question. It feels like they got eliminated like 6 months ago, and
Exactly.
it's been less than a week, and it's like or a little more than a week now. I'm sorry, but let's see real quick. Let's see. The Bennett Gold was the first period.
Yes.
That was 1-0.
So, and that I felt is where the wheels came off.
And I didn't even realize how late in
Yeah.
the period it was. 50 seconds left to go in the
Yep.
period.
Cuz
Or gotta be.
they played such a good period and then just stopped. It was just yep, it was that goal. Bennett
Yeah,
just
I
fucking
could just.
blasted that goal.
I do remember. Now I remember watching that goal. Yes, I do
It
remember.
and Rangers fans were trying to sit there and be like, "Oh, I'm positive that puck didn't go in." It did. It did. He blasted that puck. It's just poor defense on back check. You let the guy with the puck get too far into the corner and was able to pass it past you. Uh, Igor couldn't even stop that if he wanted to. Just a little bit higher up on the puck on the shot, and it hits the crossbar.
Right.
So I mean, it's just a rough one to give up, especially because of the period that they played. Try to come back into the second period. You play a good second period. Again, you play another fantastic period, and that's what bothered me with this team. You
Whoa!
played
I'm sorry. I was watching the replay of the goal, and I didn't even realize what a bad turnover in the neutral zone on
mm-hmm,
that goal. Holy shit! Like
always.
I didn't realize at the time, but wow, what a bad. Whoever turned that over, I got to see who that was again. Oh, it's Truba. Of course
Of
it was.
course.
Of course, Truba went right by him, and like there was no chance. Okay, never mind. That makes sense.
So second period, you make
Uh,
it out unscathed.
oh
No,
no, that's definitely in. Sorry, Rangers fans. That definitely
yeah,
went
no.
in.
The second I saw it go in, it was in. I knew it because you could see where Igor was standing.
Mm-hmm.
It dropped behind the line. You could see past the line.
Oh yeah,
It was in.
it was right over his shoulder. I mean, it's seeing eye shot.
Mhm.
I mean, that was a seeing eye shot if there ever was one. Beautiful shot.
So you make it out of the second period unscathed, and you had opportunities to even get one or two, and
Yes.
you fucking don't.
And this is where I jump in because I actually started watching. I started watching it in the third period when I was going to work. I literally put it on my phone to watch the final 15 minutes of the game, and I was like, oh. And then to see who friggin' scores. Oh, and the way he scores.
I fucking knew it too.
And I
I
had text you, and I literally had text you like, oh god.
I it couldn't it felt poetic.
It so did.
It
I
felt so poetic to see that fucking Tarasenko scored that goal.
Because at first I didn't realize because again I'm watching on my phone. I didn't realize it was him because he had a different number than he usually. He usually has the 70s number.
He normally has 91.
No, I'm sorry, 91. You're right. I'm sorry. But he had like what 10, 11,
He had
whatever
10.
his number. Yeah. And I was like, oh, who's that? And I realized
Fucking
I looked back at the jersey,
Tarasenko.
like, oh boy. That's why I texted you. Went, oh boy.
That I I wasn't angry. I just felt vindicated.
I would have been angry and vindicated all at the same time.
I I it just I was sitting right in this chair where I'm speaking right now, looking at the same exact screen that I was watching the game on. Just off,
Take it off. We got to take it off.
over, and I was done. I turned the game off about 15 minutes into the third period, hoping that my old track record of turning the game off and they come back works.
We've all done it.
It started to,
We've all done it.
and then I made the mistake of turning it back on because I had hope.
Oh yeah, no.
And that was my mistake. Yeah, I've been getting a lot of sympathy from people about it, but I keep telling them it is what it is. I mean,
Yes.
I expected Florida to give everything they had to the Rangers. They did. The Rangers couldn't handle it.
You took them to 6.
Yeah, I mean it.
And
You,
6 was up in the air still. I mean, they didn't score until almost 11 minutes into the period.
and what frustrates me with this team is that they could have gone up 3-1 in the series.
Mm-hmm.
Game 4, if Mika doesn't turn the puck over, if Mika didn't turn the puck over in overtime, this would be an entirely different conversation right now.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I totally agree.
But like, it's all just what ifs at this point.
Exactly.
And like, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a fucking cup ring right now. But what we're talking about now is Jacob Trouba and his big chunk of ankle missing.
Oh.
We need to after
You have to give them that credit.
No, you
Shit out of
don't.
the podcast, but
I
the dude had a chunk of his ankle and he was still playing.
what define big chunk, because like your ankle isn't that
Right.
big.
How about any chunk? Any chunk. If the chunk is 5% of your ankle, that's still a lot of your ankle.
I mean, yeah, I just
And it's not even like he's on like goddamn. He's fucking on skates. I mean,
yeah, like he said it didn't impact his ability to play. Like it didn't hurt. It was just it was laboring to turn, and like to play how he did is admirable, but if you know that you're struggling like that and you see the way it's affecting your play, I respect you more if you just sit. You have Zach Jones, that is a serviceable defenseman. You know how he plays. He can play well with Gustafsson or Schneider if you wanted to do something like that.
right.
Just sit for even just 2-3 games. Just see how you're doing, see how your skating is, and just try and maybe play a game. Try to come back, see what you do. Fucking, we're putting Blake Wheeler in on one leg.
Exactly.
Might as well just fucking take more time off. There's other ways to work around Trouba having a big chunk of his ankle missing. Because there's a big chunk of this team missing that needs to figure out what the fuck is going on. And it starts with free agency.
No, that's where, like I said, that's where the point I was getting to is like, I mean, what do you think they need to even try to even get over this hump right now? I mean, right now, what is your top like 3 things if you could be like, if it was a perfect world, you would want to do for this team right now? I mean, just drop it.
Get rid of Kaka.
Okay.
However you have to do it. I don't care if somebody offer sheets him and you just tell him fucking sign it. Buy out either Trouba or Goodrow. But I even feel like you could trade Goodrow. With how he was in the playoffs, I feel like you could trade him to a team that's on the fringe.
Right.
And you can get something back for him, even if it's like a trade, even if it's a trade for a second round pick in this year's draft. You get picks for him. I don't care. I just don't want him on this team.
That's understandable. Hey, we all have players that sometimes it's like don't want them on it.
And then honestly, just make sure the young guys in the AHL are ready to go.
Right.
I want to see Brennan Othman and Gabe Perreault on this team next year.
That makes sense. They were your
You
top
you
two
have
right
you
now.
have fantastic older players. You have a nice solid core of older guys that know what they're doing.
Right.
And you have the flashy young guys.
Right.
You saw how Loft did with being put with two of the star core guys. Try it again. It didn't work with Kako. You have Heedle as your serviceable third line center now, because he'll be able to play full healthy in the next season.
Right.
Bring up Othman, bring up Perot, use your guys. If there are trades that you can make to get better, use them, do it. But you got guys that you got to worry about signing. You got to make sure that Lindgren is signed. You got to make sure that Schneider is signed. Igor's contract is coming up next season, and I got issues with that because he's saying he wants $12 million.
Oof.
Abso-fucking-lutely not. You can leave. I'll pay for your subway ride out.
I think it'd be a little more than a subway ride unless he's going to the island.
No, just you can figure out what you want to do after you get out of New York. I'll pay for you to get out of New York.
There you go. Pay for that plane ticket out of Kennedy.
And I don't understand where you think you're getting $12 million from. 9.5 at most, and not for max term, not for 8 years.
Oh no, absolutely not.
You signed him for 5 years, and you better like it. If not, I don't really care if Igor Shesterkin's on my team anymore. Not at $12 million. He's not. He's a fantastic goalie, but at the end of any contract that he signs with a decent amount of term, he's going to be on the wrong side of 30.
Oh, absolutely.
He is going to be. I'm just worried that the Rangers will make the same mistake with Igor that they did with Hank. Sign him to 8 years, and the final years aren't good, and you have to hope that you have another goalie that you drafted fucking 10 years ago that's working out.
Yeah, you got to turn to the Green Bay Packers basically.
Exactly.
You go from Richter to the middle, and then you hit on Hank, you've hit on Shishirkin. Are you going for is the third time the charm again?
I'm going for Jordan Love. Give me Jordan Love.
Give me some Jordan Love.
Give me Jordan Love on my back end.
For right now, my team would probably be good with Jordan Love in net. But so real quick, like I said, we'll just hit one little Devils thing just because we have the press.
I see that they made the 10th overall pick available.
That was the point. Yeah, that was the next point I was bringing up.
What
was discussions about the 10th overall pick being traded for?
What goalie do you want?
A goalie. Hey.
What fucking goalie do you want?
Exactly.
You have so much cap space this year. What goalie do you want?
Exactly. Yeah. It's basically going to be a choice of who's going to be the trade partner and stuff. Is it going to be Calgary or Markstrom? Is it going to be the least likely one? Is most likely Soros out of the Predators. And Omar still a possibility out of Boston as you wear the jersey.
You're trading that 10th overall pick for Semyon Varlamov. Enjoy.
No way. I will give you. No. No, thank you. No. I don't think. Our new coach appreciate
Gang, manifest the 10th overall pick to fucking the Islanders for Varlamov, please.
Oh yeah, just what we need.
Varlamov and fucking Ryan Pulock really solidify that defensive core.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, buddy.
Oof, like our defense isn't rough enough as it is.
Hey, you'll get Dougie back.
Oh, hey, I'm banking on him having a good season next year. It's one of those. He had a great season the year before. He got hurt. Maybe it's a parallel. Maybe he is a big influence on. He is a big influence on this team, especially with those young guys. I mean, they always talk. between Hughes and Nemeth, and now we're gonna get Casey up, who's a defenseman. He signed his ELA earlier before during the playoffs and stuff, and so we're gonna have these young defensemen that need a leader like a Hamilton on their team. We know his production's not going to be as great as it was in the years past because he's getting older. He's very injury prone, and he's just getting older. But maybe the influence on this team, just to have him around as that solid defense guy that's been there, a leader. Maybe that's what his value is at almost 9 million now. I mean, unfortunately, at the time we signed him, we were a desperate team, and we were the ones that had to put out the max to get these players. Fortunately, now that now we have a nice, good, solid core. We don't need to overpay for people to come here anymore. People are excited to play for with these young players, and hopefully this shows out. Coming up in this off season. With the a pending the pending free agents and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I gotta say, just make sure we go. Dawson Mercer's on an RFA right now. He didn't have the greatest season. I would try to sign him to a long-term deal right now, just because he is coming off a bad year. No, not a bad year, but a bad year from his first 2 years. And I think it would be very helpful, try to get him maybe at a discount or something, hometown discount.
Get him on like a 3-year deal.
3-4 year deal. Give him the money he wants. Keep him around though. He's gonna be a solid person to have around on a good core team.
Exactly, and the Devils have a lot of cap space. They can sign pretty much whoever they want.
Yes, and that was another story I was gonna bring up too. We just heard a couple of days ago the cap is rising. We're gonna go up to 88 million for next season.
Good.
It's an increase of 4.5 from this year, which is the first time it's risen over 4 million since 17-18 going into 18-19. So the revenue's there for you got an extra 4.5 million on your cap. That's in the NHL, that's a couple players, a couple good solid bottom guys. I mean, get your bottom guys signed. I mean, it's a great thing for the NHL, which means more money's funneling through, which means more eyes are on the product. You can't get any better than that, and that's what we want on this podcast. We want this game to grow, so everyone gets involved because hockey is one of the best sports of all time, and there ain't no doubt about it.
Damn straight. And there ain't no doubt about it that we got one of the best fan bases in all of podcasting. Gang, we love y'all. Thank you for joining us for another episode and another week of the What the Puck podcast. Gunk, it was a fantastic morning being able to speak to you. Like yes, I always say, I'm Nick. That's Gunk. Gang, we love you. We'll talk to you next week with another episode. Peace.
Peace.